Hello everybody, starting from this video, we're going to look at our graphical method you can use to summarize the categorical data. Hopefully so far you still can follow me. And so for next part, we're going to look at the basic concept about bar chart and pie chart. What are they? And after that, you can move on to the next video to learn how to use Excel to generate the bar chart and pie chart. And so what I want to mention is that every time if you want to generate bar chart, pie chart, your first step actually is to generate your frequency distribution. So therefore, if you have exams or work on your project, if you're thinking to generate bar chart, pie chart, don't think about, oh, I can just get those charts from your raw data. It's not the case. You actually first step has to generate your frequency distribution. And so let's move to the slides. And I'm going to show you this slide one more time. The reason is because I really worry my student after graduate, if you're really landing in the position, even analyzing the data, you use the proper method. Again, if you're using the category data, the graphical method you can use will be bar chart and the pie chart. So that's the only two methods you can use. Please don't use histogram. So you only can use the bar chart or pie chart. So let's look at what is bar chart and what is pie chart. Now let's move on to the bar chart and pie chart. So what is bar chart? So a bar chart is a graphical display for depicting qualitative data or categorical data. So qualitative and categorical data are the same thing, the same data. So usually before when we don't have Excel, we don't have computer, so usually people manually draw that chart. So that what I did when I was in middle school, I believe, and we actually had to manually using your hand to draw the bar chart. So then you have to remember how the chart look like, right? So here we got just basically talk about how the bar chart will look like, but as I said, Excel we actually follow this rule to generate the chart for you. So on one axis, usually the horizontal axis, we specify the label that are used for each of the classes. So although computer will generate this chart, sometimes they might forget about label in your classes. We're looking at this definition because when you are trying to use the computer to generate the chart, and if the computer forget about the important element, you actually should add on. Remember? So you should add on because missing any of those elements will interfere in people to reading your chart. So it will become unclear, or in my class, it will consider as a wrong chart. If you don't properly label it, nobody can read it. So therefore, remember, usually the horizontal axis will be use the class label to label it. Remember, so that's one axis. And then the frequency, relative frequency, or percent frequency scale can be used for the other axis. So usually it's a vertical axis. So you can choose one of the frequency. You don't show all frequency on your bar chart. You only chose one of it, okay? Either frequency, or you chose relative frequency, or you chose percent frequency. Don't choose all three or two of the three because, as I said, they will give you very similar information. And then if you chose two frequency to show in one chart, let's say frequency and relative frequency in one chart, and nobody gonna be able to read your chart, right? So make sure you only chose one of them, either frequency or relative frequency or percent frequency. And so then you're using a bar of fixed width. So for each bar, the width should be the same, and drawn above each class label, and we extend the height appropriately. So which means the taller the bar is, the higher frequency is, and so the height is indicating the value of the frequency. So the height of the bar indicating the frequency. So the bars are separated to emphasize the fact that each class is a separate category. So this is something very important, and I will emphasize one more time when we move on to the histogram. Because some students get confused between bar chart and pie chart. So bar chart and bar chart and histogram. Bar chart and histogram are totally different charts. Totally different chart. They look very similar, so they are different. Bar chart is for categorical data. Histogram is for quantitative data. And the bar chart has gap between two bars, and histogram don't. Histogram doesn't. So therefore, they are different. So some students, not just you guys, I really see the professional report, they get confused. So that make people think, did you really learn statistics? Okay, so let's look at the Miranda example. So remember in the last two-week video, ago, we looked at the example called Miranda Inn. They interviewed 20 guests, asked them to rate the quality of the hotel. So then we developed the histogram in last time. So then based on the histogram, we can generate this bar chart. So you can see, like I said, when you're developing the bar chart, the horizontal axis will be your classes, right? You see that there are poor, below average, average, above average, excellent, and the height. So the vertical axis is labeled is to representing the frequency. In this case, you also can represent the relative frequency. Here we chose frequency, and so obviously you can see if you try to go back to a few slides ago, and you will notice that the high frequency is for above average. So we have 9 people voting above average. So if you look at the height of this bar, is corresponding to 9. So like I said in the definition of the bar chart, so the height of each bar is representing your frequency. Again, bar chart actually will give you the same business insight as your frequency distribution. But why we use bar chart or why we use pie chart later we're going to look at. So we use bar chart instead of frequency distribution is because the people you're talking to. Some people, they don't like to see numbers and they prefer to see the chart. Or sometimes your presentation is full of numbers, so you want to include in a chart to including the to make the vision of your report more user friendly. So you might want to introduce this bar chart. And so this is the bar chart. And now we move on to the pie chart. We move on to the pie chart. Oh, sorry. So before we move on to the pie chart, and so you can stop at here to pause here and move on to the video regarding the bar chart. Or you can keep watching this video because we can move on to the pie chart because pie chart are very similar to the bar chart. And so you can keep watching this video, or you can pause here, move on to the next one on the Excel, or you can just wait a little bit after we finish these slides. And so let's look at the pie chart. So both pie chart and bar chart can be used to representing to summarizing the category data. And so what is a pie chart? And I always ask my students, do you like your grandma's pie, apple pie? So if you ever try it, no matter you like it or not like it, try to connect the pie chart with the apple pie you are eating. So it's supposed to be round. So the pie chart is commonly used graphical display for representing relative frequency and percent frequency for category data. So compare the pie chart with the bar chart. You will notice that we are missing a frequency, right? So now we only see relative frequency and percent frequency. So that's what I want to emphasize. That is, when you are looking at comparing two samples with different sample size using the graphical display, and you should use the pie chart. You should use the pie chart. Although bar chart works, pie chart is perfect. And so the pie chart won't be clearly showing you the frequency unless you label it, but usually you use pie chart. The reason you're using the pie chart is you are trying to comparing. And so if we don't have a computer, if we manually draw it, we actually first have to draw a circle and then use the relative frequency to subdivide the circle into sector that are corresponding to the relative frequency for each class. And then since there is our 360 degree in the circle, a class with a relative frequency of 25% would consume 90 degree of the circle. So this two step, if back to 1999 or 1990, so I might need you to, you're going to remember how to do it because you actually have to manually draw those charts. Nowadays, we rely on the Excel. So the Excel actually going to do this work for us, draw the circle, and decide how big each slide should look like. And here, I want to show you this Miranda Inn example one more time. And here we are converting our bar chart to the pie chart. So you can notice that for the pie chart, we no longer show in the frequency. Instead, we're showing the percent frequency. As I said, the reason we chose to use the pie chart because we want to compare and to help us to compare when the two samples have different sample size.